Alderman Nicholson.
Yes, I'm not going to support the amendment for one simple reason beyond what Alderman Wiley said, and I think he said quite correctly. The day we put in a signalized crosswalk is the end of the crossing guard. And anybody who's watched a 4-year-old with his older brother or older sister, or younger kids going to kindergarten, returning, going across an intersection, knows the trouble they have with crosswalks.
Excuse me, Alderman Nicholson. Alderman Dion, could you state the point of order,
Point
please?
of order is, Mr. Mayor, that there is misinformation being given here. There are 2 crosswalks on Adelaide and Simcoe which both have crossing guards in existence.
I'm sorry that's not a point of order, but nonetheless you've accomplished your goal. Alderman Nicholson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe she has accomplished her floor, because I don't believe for day one this Public Works Department or this Board of Education will support a crossing guard where there's a crosswalk. Isn't going to happen. Let's not kid ourselves. I had a situation quite similar to what Alderman Wiley stated down on Wellington and Simcoe, where I had asked the region, of all people, to consider a crosswalk. And the response I got from the region was, because there were many children either developmentally handicapped or younger crossing that road, that they felt a crosswalk was a totally inappropriate way to regulate traffic and to regulate pedestrian traffic across a major street. They indicated to me that children, especially younger children, do not know how to operate a crosswalk properly and have a tendency either to rush across the road without properly using the signal or to hesitate and never enter the intersection, therefore never getting across the road. When children congregate a corner, you cause indecisiveness in the driver. So instead of having a situation where traffic is moving through the area and the children are blocked, we now have indecisive children and an indecisive traffic. And I can't see that as being a positive step for that intersection. It was also stated earlier by Alderman Elsey that there wasn't much chance of warrants being done on this road. Well, I agree with Alderman Elsey. At Park Road and Philip Murray, where lights have just recently been established in February, there wasn't a chance there of ever having the warrants met. It didn't mean the intersection didn't need lights, it just meant there was some rule that said they couldn't have one, and made it virtually impossible for warrants ever to be initiated because of traffic flows being too much on one street and not enough on the other. Because the warrants say a traffic light isn't warranted by some bureaucratic rule, does not mean those traffic lights or 4-way stops aren't needed by the community. And I advise council, to take a look down at Cedar and Philip Murray, and Park and Philip Murray, and watch the traffic today as it was compared to 6-7 months ago, when an accident a week was occurring at sometimes. You weren't getting the great fender benders and accidents where people were getting killed, but you were getting screeching of the tires, almost a daily occurrence at those intersections. You don't get that anymore. You talk to the residents down there, there's not a problem. The problem has been solved. We have an opportunity here to back up a motion we made some weeks ago. We stood here in a majority vote saying to the region, you put stoplights in, and we'll support that. They said no. Now, if we're going to hold true to our motion a few weeks ago, surely it's our responsibility to stand behind that motion and put in the appropriate traffic safety signal. Now, I have some questions in my mind whether a stoplight or a 4-way stop is the best way to go, and I'll talk about that later. But the most important thing we got to have to know today is that the status quo doesn't work, and we've got to find a solution, and not one that's going to endanger the children even more.